Hi, I'm Christine Grazioso, and I am the Vice President of the Alliance of Independent Dentists. The Alliance of Independent Dentists is an advocacy nonprofit grassroots efforts founded by dentists in 2017. Our aim is to advocate for independent private practice of dentistry versus the corporate model or the corporate practice of dentistry. And we want to educate our colleagues and then the public on why it's important to preserve our profession and preserve private practice dentistry. Today I have with me Dr. Bob McNamara, and he is an emergency physician and has a huge bio, and I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Okay, yeah. So I've been involved in, corporate issues in medicine for a long time. I initially got involved when I was a residency program director, training the young doctors, and read a book called The Rape of Emergency Medicine. Kind of an interesting title, but it basically described the corporate influence in the specialty of emergency medicine. And the key issues are this is affecting patients and it's affecting your colleagues, especially your younger colleagues. The reason I got involved as a program director is I realized after doing some research and reading that the younger doctors going out and they were feeling exploited. And emergency medicine is a difficult job. You can't do that long term if you feel somebody's taking advantage of you. So that's sort of the key issue. And what I learned is that unfortunately, aided and abetted by quote unquote leaders of the specialty, our field was sold out to corporate interests. And now, initially lay companies, now it's private equities involved. And the consequences are pretty devastating. Emergency medicine leads in all the burnout surveys of medical specialties. We're 5 to 8 points ahead. And, a lot of that is, some of it's inherent to the job, but a lot is because we feel we're cogs in the machine. But the bottom line is you got to start thinking about the patients, like how are they affected? When corporate interests come in, it's clear that their number one goal is to answer to their shareholders, their investors, to get profit. And as professionals, we're supposed to have our number one goal, the patient's interest. At medical school, we get up and we swear an oath to the patients, and nobody in private equity or corporate emergency medicine, corporate dentistry is doing that stuff. So that's sort of the key starting point. Why is this important? And it's especially important to the next generation. What we've seen in emergency medicine is senior docs cashing in. Okay, these companies they buy what they call as a platform practice. They'll get a group of a physician-owned practice that is running well, doing a good job. They buy that, they take it over, they put in the corporate influence, and then they grow by acquisition. They pay off senior docs. They give them the retirement nest egg. They get that money up front. They take out loans to buy the practice, and then the younger doctors have to pay back what the senior docs got paid out and the ongoing profit needs of private equity. And we're talking 20 to 30% return on investment. That's what private equity promises to their investors. Okay. And across the board in medicine, not just emergency medicine, we have seen, really devastating effects. We can go on and talk about some examples if you want, but that's sort of the intro, the initial introduction to this topic.
No, that was a great introduction. And I think dentists often don't realize just the path we are on if we do exactly what happened in medicine. And that's what the Alliance of Independent Dentists is trying to educate about. We want to use medicine as the example. So what I want to say here to everyone watching is Dr. McNamara is going to be our opening speaker at the Alliance of Independent Dentists First National Symposium, March 13th to 15th, 2025 in Washington, D.C. He is so knowledgeable, and we have a slew of knowledgeable speakers, and we hope that you will join it. Dr. McNamara, I didn't really give a good bio of you, but he was my husband's residency director back in the early 90s. And so I've known about Dr. McNamara all these years, and I've been so impressed because he did what we're trying to do, 40 years ago, and he just has all the knowledge and the experience. So he's a great person to learn from. And Can you talk a little bit about the American Medical Association and what happened and why they kind of became so irrelevant and what we should look out for in dentistry with our association, the American Dental Association?
So the AMA has a steady income stream that doesn't depend on dues dollars, the CPT codes. So they are almost immune to membership pressure. And it's a corporate connection that they own. And they only represent, at tops 20% of all physicians in the country. So it's really just a lot of doctors don't join them. I mean, I am a member. I think that the physician members of the AMA, there's definitely a tide against corporate medicine. But what we did in emergency medicine is we realized that the leadership of the specialty were some of the people that sold out. For instance, the company called Envision, which our group, the American Academy, just sued, successfully kicked them out of California in terms of corporate practice, was founded by the 1980-81 president of the American College of Emergency Physicians. Wait a second. So, I mean, this guy made a ton of money selling out his colleagues to lay interest, where they were going to pay that 20+% tax. Like, how could that guy be leading? As a professional organization, your job is to support the professionals. And there you got a leader who's selling them out to work in an environment that is just not acceptable for patient care. So I was the second president of the American Academy of Emergency Medicine, was there for 5 years. I currently am the chief medical officer of what's called the AM Physician Group, which actually provides practice support to independent physician groups. And this is, we're trying to keep them in existence, create more. Yesterday, I was on a phone call with docs from Washington State who they're working for one of these corporations that's going bankrupt, right? There are docs that had just started there, just finished a residency with massive debt, who've gone 2 months without a paycheck because the corporation is not paying them. And then they're worried that their malpractice premiums aren't being paid. And this is the third major bankruptcy in a short period of time in emergency medicine. The companies come in, they rake their profits. The executives are being paid, the doctors aren't being paid. This is the kind of things that can happen to a specialty if you let corporate interest in the door. And then the other thing is that you want to advocate in front of the government. If you're seen arm in arm with private equity versus the insurance industry, you're one and the same. You're not viewed as that profession that is there for the patient. And that hurt us in emergency medicine with something called the No Surprises Act. The AMA itself doesn't really depend on big membership because of its other financial thing. And then there's, when you look at the leadership of these organizations, there's a fair bit of self-interest. Okay. And it's, we wound up forming a completely new specialty society, the American Academy of Emergency Medicine, which was formed. One of the two specific aims was to fight the corporate practice of medicine, and we've had a lot of success. I can tell you the other thing is that we have used examples from dentistry to bolster our case to preserve the practice, the independent practice of medicine. There are AG rulings, case rulings, prior investigations. I mean, in the state of New York, the Attorney General took serious action against Aspen Dental for their influence and control of the practice of dentistry, where the dentists weren't seeing what was collected. They were directing people to order more tests, sell more products, do more procedures. There's a ruling in Texas, Penny versus Ortholliance, where a bunch of orthodontists sold out to one of these concerns, and, it was a bait and switch. They were getting squeezed. They weren't getting what they were promised. They felt this was a problem, and the corporate practice of dentistry is illegal in many states, New York, Texas. And these are stuff that we're using. We're using case law from dentistry, medicine to fight this. And again, we just had a major success. The American Academy sued Envision, which was owned by KKR. So we're talking a $9 billion company in the most lucrative market in the country. And we sued them saying you're illegally practicing medicine. You put up a sham owner. Okay. It's really owned by KKR, Kravis, Kohlberg, and Roberts. okay, big private equity fund. And we basically were winning all along. They tried to dismiss it. The judge said, you know, what these guys are saying is wrong. In the midst of it, they went bankrupt. As part of the settlement, they are no longer in California. So a small, relatively small physician organization went toe to toe with a $9 billion organization and beat them. Same thing can happen in dentistry.
I think that's the point we're trying to make, and we hope our colleagues will take notice. Join a group like the Alliance of Independent Dentists, come to our symposium, listen to Dr. McNamara and our other speakers, but he has so much knowledge and he can guide us. He can guide us in dentistry and open our eyes to what the future can be if we don't fight back. So I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. And I really look forward to hearing you in Washington, D.C., March 13th to 15th. So you'll be there on the 14th, actually, on Friday the 14th. I appreciate it very much. Thanks so much.
Okay.